Welcome back to AOR PS4 F2 for round 14 of this championship, the penultimate race of the season, and the championship race is hotting up between Iceman and Tactician. Only 10 points separate the two at the top. And joining me in the commentary box as ever is Shane.
Yep, we're at what is my particular favourite track on the calendar. Lots of overtaking opportunities, such as turn 1, turn 11, turn 12, and the little infield section at turn 15 towards the end of the lap. In general, it's just a good track for racing, and with the very high speed nature of the first sector, it's an all-round good track to drive, in my opinion. I know you particularly don't agree with that.
I mean, it's not that I don't think it's just not a great track in my opinion. But
you especially don't like the little infield section towards the end of the lap.
No, I can't. I cannot say I'm a fan of it. I think it just doesn't suit the way I drive, so I tend to be slow, and then that always means that you're never a massive fan. Drivers heading out for their first runs of the session. Obviously, there was no stream last week because I wasn't here. So in Japan, we'll try and quickly recap what happened last time in Japan. Cherry Pie won. Obviously a very good result for him, coming back off his podium in Malaysia as well. So he's now on 42 points. But in terms of the championship, Iceman got his first non-top 5 finish of the season, finishing 7th. Unfortunately, he was involved in some sort of collision on the first lap, which caused that. So with Tactician finishing in 3rd, that cut his gap at the top down to 10 points, which is good news for the championship and not for us, because that means, well, obviously Iceman can win the championship today, but we'll be hoping it carries on to next week in Brazil. And the H-Eagle also got another podium, taking his podium tally to 4 for the season. He finishes 2nd. But those are the main talking points from Japan. But obviously now focusing on this qualifying session, and it looks a bit overcast, Shane, but I think it should stay dry.
Yeah, Crow Nexus, as ever, seems to be the first man out on track.
It's Iceman.
Yeah, well, let's go on board with the championship leader then. Into turn 1, interestingly has to go down a 2nd gear to get the car into the apex of the corner. And very steep into turn 1, but yeah, he just about got away with it, and using 8th gear, interestingly, for the S's, which is presumably so that the back end doesn't kick out.
Yeah, I see this a fair amount from Iceman, using high gears than what most drivers do. Obviously, as Shane just said, it definitely helps rear end stability, which is crucial in this game, considering how high the balance you have to run. And clearly it doesn't hinder his pace too much because he's currently leading the championship. Opens up that DRS then for the back straight, and then heading down in towards turn 12, and looking for that 100-metre board, and then braking down. Uses 2nd once again, just get that car rotated, and there's into this infield section, which is so different from the rest of the track. One section high speed and the rest is, well, this is pretty slow through here. Once again down into 2nd, a little bit wide from that apex, and then this is all flat out through 16, 17 and 18. And then one of the most difficult corners on the track, I would say probably the most difficult corner, the sort of blind turn 19. You've just got to pick a braking point and turn in and hope. And the final corner gets back on the power, opens up the DRS and sets a 133.3 to open with. And there's a yellow flag in sector 2. Do you see what else for, Shane?
Yeah, I think that's just, I think the H-Eagle just letting some cars through, and obviously when you go down to a less than optimal speed, brings out a yellow flag on this game. But that's a pretty respectable lap from Iceman. That's kind of the times we're really expecting. Low 33s, and maybe on the 2nd run someone can break into the high 32s. Iceman looks like he's gone round on another lap, interestingly, but Pit Map slots it in 2nd place at the moment on a 33.7, and Mazais comes across the line again with a 33.7. So it looks like the back end of the or the mid group, shall we say, is going to be very close.
Yep, no one getting close to Iceman. As I say, that Caribbean Crush takes provisional pole, of course. as cut to Iceman's Championship rather than Tactician, who's very wide in turn 19. Just never got the car hooked in. Has said before this race that he was not looking forward to this one. And sets a 33.5 though, which is still pretty respectable. Currently puts him into P3. Professional, Jammy James, Cherry Pie and the H-Eagle all in the pit lane without setting a time. So I'm guessing they've had some sort of problems on the lap. Just chose to come into the pits.
Yeah, they look like they've abandoned their runs. So let's see what Iceman does as he comes round the last corner. He goes back on provisional pole, 600ths ahead of his teammate in Caribbean Crush. And Gwig's last man to do their first run is in 6th on a 33.9. So I think everyone else who came in and abandoned their laps must have made a mistake, because usually at least you want to get the banker lap in.
Yeah. So okay, it's definitely said professionals been in the pits for a long time, but now he's just gone into the pits. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway. Also, oh no, that was Cronexus. I'm an idiot. Ah, wow. Well, yeah. Not the smartest commentators you'll ever see, but in my defence, it was a Ferrari coming to the pit lane when I was had professional sort of on my thing highlighted. If that makes sense. Jammin James is coming out for another run with only 5 minutes to go, unless, yeah, this will surely be his final run. Obviously, he's got to do his outlap and then actually do his fast lap. So this will be his final run of the session, which is interesting. Obviously, he'll get a bit of free track in terms of there'll be no one around him, but the way track evolution works on this game, you sort of want to be the last man over the line.
So, kind of now in the quiet phase of qualifying. Jammy Jones is the only guy out there as Griggs comes in. Jammy Jones is the only guy out there ready to put himself onto the lap, which is kind of, he's done this quite a lot this season. He tends to go out in the middle of qualifying and do his run when there's no one else really on the track, which is a bit odd because, as you say, Dan, ideally you want to be the last. You want to get over the line literally as the clock gets to 1 or 0.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand it maybe if it was Monaco and we had 20 people, but this is Kota and we've got 11, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But obviously, you know, you just kind of want to get on with it. But Jamie James coming round the final corner, then opening up that DRS and then he's on that uphill descent in towards turn 1, looking for that 100-metre board and breaking down. Will he use second gear like Iceman did? Yes, he does, and he's even further off that apex. Really just didn't get the nose of the car into the corner, then into the fast sweeping section. Definitely the best part of the track in my opinion. Its first 3 parts are all flat and Jamie James has backed out of it, so that's interesting. Didn't really seem...
It's rather anticlimactic, I think.
Yeah, I didn't see anything massively wrong with it.
Yeah, well, clearly he's felt that it's not going to be as good of a time, so he'd rather set himself up for the next run. Obviously, fuel is an important part of that, but it looks like he's fine for fuel, so who knows? So, majority of people on their outlap coming, getting themselves up for their last laps in this session. Who's going to be your bet for pole position?
Oh God, I'm going to go tactician. I mean, it's bold, but bold. His lap did look a little bit scruffy, so I feel like there's plenty more in it. In that, I'm bored with the H Eagle though, as I think he's the next driver to attempt to set a time. Hopefully, he actually will. Keeps the car in third and sort of. I don't want to use the phrase Mario Karting, but it very much looked like that. The rear end just sort of slid the car through the corner, keeping it in 7th, which is a bit more traditional than what Iceman did, and down into 5th for turn 6. Nicely through his first sector, pretty hooked up so far, and then keeps it in 5th for the uphill section. then downhill in towards turn 11. And the wrong brake marker board's on the right. And a little bit of... quite a lot of lag on my screen there as he got back on the power down the back straight. So I can't really describe how that corner went for him. But down into turn 12. Keeping it in third. Actually goes down to second. And then fights the rear end for traction. Down into third for turn 13. Really fighting that rear end. Slightly lost it there, but it's also a pretty decent lap so far from the H-Eagle.
Obviously, with the nature of those corners, it's very easy action. But he dealt with it well. Did look a little bit slidey, as Dan said. Chucks it into the second to last corner. Goes wide with that. And into the last corner. Across the line. And it wasn't validated, so probably at the second to last corner.
He did set a 32.9 though, which would have been pole by 3 tenths.
So he knows he can do it. He's just got to keep it within the white lines.
Yeah. See if anyone is on a lap bit. Looks like Tactician's pushing, but it's hard to tell when they're on an outlap, to be honest. That looks pretty committed though, down into turn 12. So I'm going to stick with the Red Bull. Unless he's just trying to get to the line in time.
I don't know. I'm looking at Cherry Pie right now. So he's coming into the last corner. He's got Iceman up ahead of him. He's just going on to a lap. So Cherry Pie comes across the line. He goes fastest on the 32.9, which is a very good lap indeed. He's suddenly just shown up this pace since Malaysia, which is we've not really seen. Which is it's going very well for him at the moment.
Yeah, Mazias is slotted into third. As the Tactician comes round the final corner and takes provisional pole on a 32.7. Wow. Very good lap from the Red Bull driver there. What has Iceman got in response to that?
Yeah, your prediction might be right.
Come on. Hopefully. As Iceman goes down towards turn 11. As professionally he's 5.7 seconds off on his return to the league. So not the greatest qualifying session for him.
I think he had a bit of a gust of wind moment out of turn 15 because he was all over the place into the reverse turning from Turkey. Have a look at
the H-Eagle's gone third, wasn't able to recreate his previous lap, but has at least got himself into a decent grid spot for the race. So Iceman comes through turn 14.
He's matched Tactician in both sectors.
Oh God! As he nearly did what Rosberg did in 2015, sorry. Going mental. As we come into turn 19. Using that exit curve, but not going too far out, wanting to get his lap invalidated like the H-Eagle did. It looks a little bit cautious around the final corner. And doesn't improve. Oh no, he did. Maybe he did improve.
I think he got the lap invalidated.
He only improved by 65 thousandths anyway.
Well, it would have been enough for third. I think he just got the lap invalidated somewhere.
I've got absolutely no idea where.
He did get it invalidated. That's,
it's not something I picked up on. Obviously,
I'm baffled.
The spectator cams aren't 100% accurate in terms of where the car's positioned on comparison to the track limits, but didn't look like he'd done anything massively wrong on our screen.
I mean, that it must have been at the second to last corner because he was slow into the last one.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to quickly recap qualifying as Tactician does take pole on a 132.7. Just under 2 tenths ahead of Cherry Pie, who'll line up on the front row alongside him. The H-Eagle takes third, Iceman fourth, Mazias fifth, Caribbean Crush is sixth. Pitmat and Chronex on the fourth row, Jamie James ninth, RC Griggs 10th, and Professional rounds out the grid.
Well, for someone who was feeling that this wasn't going to be a good track for them, I'd say Tactician's done a fantastic job.
Yep.
And it looks very, very dry for the race, so doesn't look like there's going to be any rain.
Yep, it does look nice and sunny for these drivers. Obviously, Shane, who knew what pole time was going to be, so do you know what the strategy is going to be?
Wow. It's pretty much going to be a basic ultra soft.
So what you're telling me, there's actually going to be a full stop then? Because I was told the softs were going to go off in Malaysia. That didn't happen. So your strategic insight will hopefully not come true once again. Anyway.
No words.
Getting ready for the start of this Grand Prix. We've got Tactician on pole, Cherry Pie in second. The 5 lights are on here in Kota. And we are underway. Looks like a decent start from Tactician. And it appears to be holding P1. The H-Eagle is forced to defend from Iceman. Cherry Pie looks up the inside though of Tactician. But the Red Bull driver will surely hang it around the outside. And I think that's Mazias putting Iceman under pressure. And I think that's the Williams driver up into P4. Cherry Pie trying to find a way past Tactician. They're still side by side. Cherry Pie forced to finally back out of that. But Tactician's so compromised through there. And it looks like... Oh my god. Here, as Tactician is getting hold of the lead. But no, Cherry Pie's found his way into the lead of the race. And the cameras have gone horribly wrong.
Gavin Crush and Mazais has had an accident down at the back. And Mazais has retired instantly. So I don't know what on earth happened there. His Tactician's now been passed by the H-Eagle up the inside. He's got it back on the exit though. The H-Eagle with a look up the inside in towards turn 11, and with better straight line speed it looks like than the Red Bull. No, it's just Tactician lagging backwards and forwards slightly, and having another look down the inside. There's been a massive shunt. Oh dear, oh dear. Wow, that has allowed Iceman into the lead, and Tactician is now being swamped left, right and centre. Oh dear, what is happening?
Well, I don't really know how to describe that one to you. But utter chaos as ensued at turn 12.
There's so many people with damage from wings now.
Yeah, this race has gone a bit everywhere as everyone's coming into the pit lane. A Ferrari has not made the pit lane. It's the whole grid.
Oh my god. 5 people, 6 people. Cherry Pie was side by side with the Mercedes going down the pit lane. Well, I'll be honest, I did not expect this. 3 people. Professional who was last is now 3rd. Well, I mean, it's safe to say Professional is the big winner. The big winner in all of this. And that was all triggered by Tactician trying to go for a half-hearted move on Cherry Pie into turn 12. The H-Eagle has gone for a half-hearted move on Tactician. They've all come together, and it's just ended horribly for everyone, because everyone's crashed into everyone else, and Iceman has somehow got away with it.
Oh dear.
Dan is still recovering.
I should have been
Pro Nexus has still got damage.
Oh dear, he's got...
I think Dan needs a moment. Pro Nexus is coming back at Cherry Pie, who went massively deep into... Oh my god, he's gone for the move. He's gone for the move up the inside. He's not got... He's not got it stopped. Oh my god, this is chaos.
Right, I'm not being funny, but on my screen, when you go on board with Cherry Pie, his front wing has also not been replaced. I do apologise for...
Oh, it hasn't?
No, it hasn't been... Like, who's actually got that front wing? Gronex is understeering around turn 18. And the H-Eagle is surely going to pass him. Has his front wing been changed? Yes, it has. He's actually got one. It's quite... Gronex is into the pits again. From lap 2. And he's in again. I honestly don't know what's happened at the start of this race. We shouldn't really be laughing because unfortunately it has kind of spoiled this Grand Prix. But yeah, Cherry Pie has got a lot of understeer.
Yeah.
So the H-Eagle will be past him in no time. I'm trying to tell if Jammy James has a full front wing. Obviously, it's really difficult to tell. His understeer doesn't look as bad. It looks like it should be fine. Obviously, it's difficult to tell because different cars have differently complex front wing. Pitmat's looking up the inside of Jammy James in towards turn 11. And I think the Hashire just defends for the time being, but with the DRS down the back straight, you'd think Pitmat would have this move done. He opens up the DRS, gets into the slipstream, and tries to find his way round the outside of turn 12. Brake later than the Haas, try and go all the way round the outside. A little bit of contact, but Pitmat will add the inside line now for this next right-hander. You'd suspect that would be moved done, considering he's on not fresher tyres, a step softer tyres, I should say. And yeah, that's Pitmat up into P6, and now RC Griggs is trying to find a way past Jammy James as well. It's going to be very difficult to go around the outside of it, and he's lost more front wing. Unbelievable. Do these drivers actually want to keep a front wing for a few corners? As RC Griggs is now looking up the inside of Jammy James in towards turn 20, and this was 86.
I can't believe what I'm witnessing right now. I actually can't believe it. Who knows what this race would be like? I would be pretty certain there would be about 5 people left if this was on simulation damage right now. I can't comprehend what's happening. Griggs doesn't have a front wing anymore. Cherry Pie may as well not have a front wing at this point.
Right, but I know I really shouldn't be laughing, but I don't know what the other response to this situation is. I mean, this is an absolute farce.
Oh, believe me, tears are coming out of my eyes right now.
The 2 championship leaders are 1 and 2. Their gap seems pretty constant. Iceman slightly quicker than Tactician, and it did appear that Iceman would.
The thing is, this whole situation was caused by Tactician. This is what has caused all of this.
And all he's done is slightly outbrake himself into turn 12. That's all he's done. And then he's clipped Cherry Pie. And you have to say the contact model has really not helped in this situation, because it's just sort of flung Cherry Pie round, which it really shouldn't have done, considering the amount of contact they had was pretty minimal, if I'm being honest. And then it's just caused a massive robot. Iceman's skirted past it all. Everyone's lost their entire front wing, and assuming their brains during this race, as Pitmat closes in on Cherry Pie, who's got the understeer of a boat right now. Oh my god!
Pitmat now has got front wing damage. Cherry Pie went so wide into turn 1, and Cherry Pie has just, Pitmat has just launched it straight into the path of the McLaren. Griggs and Jammy James both into the pit lane.
This race continues to descend into chaos. Jammy James is into the pit.
I'll be honest, this was not the race I was expecting. I expected that. I did expect action. I did not expect this action. People are going to run out of front wings at this rate.
I don't think you could actually do that on this game. Professional, I'm not being funny, has got no pace at all. But yet still could score the most unlikely podium I've ever seen. Obviously he has just come back to the league, so I don't think he's been playing the game a lot, and obviously just trying to get back used to it, and kind of showing it in his pace now. But well, as long as he continues with reasonable, without making too many mistakes, you'd think he'd at least come out with some decent points. The H-Eagle does have a full front wing, but he's on super soft, so I suspect we'll have to pit again. Pitmat as well has damaged his front wing, and Cherry Pie continues to go round with no front wing at all.
What an utterly bizarre start. That's I'm genuinely lost for words. We're seeing more pit stops. 3 people have pitted twice in 5 laps. That is remarkable things. Anyway, while things look like as everyone's kind of spread themselves out, so they shouldn't really be damaging their front wings and unless they have a rather big accident which results them being in a barrier to lose any more of their front wings. But yeah, I'm genuinely lost for words at the start of this race. Anyway, so Tactician 4 seconds behind Iceman, which is his main rival. At the moment looks to be struggling. I'll be surprised if he has got away with that completely unscathed.
Well, I suspect by his pace he won't have any damage. I mean, he said coming into this race that he wouldn't feel strong in race pace, so you suspect Iceman would have a slight edge anyway, and the gap's gone from about 3.7 to 4.3 while I've been watching, so the two pretty closely matched. Professional is 12.8 seconds behind. I think he did make
he's had it off.
Yeah, he's made
it off somewhere.
Yeah, he made a big mistake at some point, but obviously, as you suspect, would not have the pace of the front two. The H-Eagle obviously gaining on him rapidly. That gap down to 11.2. And it's a fair way back to Pitmat, who's the first of the guys that's made a pit stop, but has also damaged his front wing again in those next laps. So he's 7.7 behind the H-Eagle and just continues to lose time. And Cherry Pie, who I don't understand how he's even vaguely competitive, because on my screen he's got nothing.
All he's got is a bit of carbon fibre across the front of the car. That's it. There's no front wing end plates, no elements at the top of the wing. So he's going around until he gets into a reasonable pit stop window again. Otherwise, he's going to be pretty much screwed for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah. So Caribbean Crush, who does have a front wing, I don't know how he ended up so far behind. I'll be honest. But he is
had a
gaining...
crash with Mazai's.
Oh, okay. Right. So that's where he lost his front wing. Tactician's into the pit lane. Presume he's going on to a set of soft tyres for the rest of this race. Oh no, is that Super Softs? Yeah, that's Super Softs.
So my prediction's already gone out the window.
Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, the way this race is going, I'm not predicting anything.
No. Tactician comes out in a fair bit of clean out. He'll have to get past Professional, but you suspect that wouldn't be too difficult for him.
The Ultra Softs are really, really dropping away. They're already about a second to a second and a half slower than what they were at the very start of the race. So the drop-off has been quite significant on those tyres.
Yeah. Caribbean Crush now within 2 seconds of Cherry Pie, and that gap will probably down to be about a second after we've done the first sector. Just see visually how much Cherry Pie is losing. This is crazy, the fact that he's still out there. It is, it's under a second, it's down to 9 tenths. As Caribbean Crush is so shocked by how much he's gaining that he ends up corner cutting. I don't even know which corner that is, at turn 9 I think, maybe turn 8. But on to the back straight now, and this is the only place where Cherry Pie is vaguely competitive, thanks to his lack of front wing. So I suspect with Tactician pitting, then surely Cherry Pie must be coming in pretty soon, because there's just no reason for him to be staying out on that ultra soft tyre if the Super Softs can get to the end of the race from here.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I genuinely can't imagine. Oh, Caribbean Crush has gone for it. Please don't lose your front wing, mate. There we go. They've got through it just about unscathed. Professional
God!
Has dropped to third somewhere, and Cherry Pie has got so little downforce that Caribbean Crush has literally just taken the racing line and just driven past him. Cherry Pie now comes in.
Yeah. As I said, Tactician got past Professional. That gap at 21 seconds between him and Ison, and Cherry Pie has got a 5-second stop go for speeding into the pit lane, and Crowdnex has picked up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Cherry Pie comes into the pit lane, puts on softs to go to the end, gets a brand new front wing, and away he goes. So Cherry Pie's gone for sauce, with Tactician going for super sauce. That seems interesting. Is Tactician going for a two-stop?
Well, I think it'd be pointless. I don't think he would lose much since he's pretty much guaranteed to finish second at this point. Unless someone obviously brings him to the stewards, which is more than likely after what has happened in this race so far. Race leader Iceman comes into the pit lane as Jamie James collects a penalty for multiple warnings. So, what tyres is Iceman going to go on to? It looks like a set of softs.
Yeah, so that confirms to me that Tactician must be on a two-stop. I think this is one of the tracks where he could maybe get away with it, as Tactician sets the fastest lap of the race. The problem he's got, though, is if he comes out behind Iceman, its strategy is going to be very difficult to pull off. He's gained a lot of time on him, considering the gap was around. Yeah, gap was around about 4.5 seconds. So he's gained a lot, but to make his strategy work, he's got to get past him pretty quickly, you would say.
So, we kind of repeated Malaysia, really, where we had these two obviously in the reverse situation on different tyres, where we had the Tactician on the hardest compound available, and Iceman went for the middle compound. So, Tactician has got to get this move done pretty much now. He's going to have the DRS on this straight. Is he going to be close enough by the end of it? Does he have that big of a straight line speed advantage on the Renault? By the looks of it, he does not. So this is going to be hard for the Red Bull.
Yeah, Professional's also gone for that super soft tyre. Honestly, he pitted on lap 9, but that could be difficult for him to get to the end of the race.
Well, we'll see. Firstly, these guys have got to get to the end of the race without crashing each other out. So, the way this race is going, who knows? There's plenty more to come, I think. Although it has to be said, everyone else is pretty much spaced out at this point. But at least the majority have got a full front wing, obviously, aside from pit map. So, into turn 1, Tactician once again not got that good straight line speed and unable to challenge the Renault. And this is definitely going to be hurting his pace, being tucked up behind Iceman. And yeah, this is not going to work out well for him.
Now the problem he's got is the pace delta between the new soft that Iceman's on and the couple of laps old super soft that Tactician is on. That it just isn't big enough for him to be able to find a way past. I mean, the slipstream is so negligible on this game, and then DRS doesn't give you that much. So with the dirty air through sector 1, it's just going to be so difficult for him to stick with Iceman to be close enough down the back straight. So I don't know if Tactician would have won this race anyway. So he tried something different, and I don't think he's going to lose too much from it anyway. And who knows, he may come back strong, very strong towards the end of the race. But at this point in the race, his strategy doesn't look to be working out for Tactician.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually starting to lose time to Iceman, which is interesting. So Iceman's clearly comfortable with what he's driving on those tyres. Yeah, I think because of obviously so many people pitting as early as they did, the HG Gorn pit mat are definitely going to have to stop again. So it was definitely worth it, because I don't think he's going to lose any positions unless Professional can absolutely shock everyone. And bring some pace out of nowhere and make those tyres last. But yeah, everything's kind of calmed down a little bit now, and Iceman's beginning to escape up the road a little bit.
Yeah, Professional starting to gain on pit mat, who's clearly struggling with that damaged front wing. Very surprised we haven't seen him come into the pit lane. Whether I've actually got really no idea what he's trying to wait for, unless he's trying to go for an ultra stint at the end of the race. You feel you could put on that super soft tyre now and get to the end. So yeah, this is a bit of a bizarre call from Pitmat, but because he's just losing time at this point in the race.
I'll be honest, Professional doesn't look in an awful lot of control of his car at the moment. He's making a lot of corrections on the steering wheel and running quite deep into corners. I don't know how much practice he's been able to do, because obviously he has been away for a couple of races, so I don't know if he's actually done a lot of practice for this event. This is home Grand Prix, obviously, being American. So, yeah, I don't think with the lack of practice that he's had, he's looking too comfortable, which obviously explains the pace struggle that he's got at the moment, using an awful lot of curb into the braking zone at turn 12, and a close right onto the back of the gearbox of Pit Matt. Will he have a go into turn 15? Not quite.
No, stays right behind him. But if Professional oh god, can he go all the way around the outside? Surely not. He turns the inside for turn 19. Pitmat doesn't put up too much of a defence, knows that he's just a lot slower. And that's Professional up into P4. The real race now is Professional against the H-Eagle, if we're being brutally honest, for P3. That's probably going to be the closest battle, and Professional needs to put in some good laps on this new fresh set of super softs, because you suspect the H-Eagle will have the raw pace over the Ferrari driver. But even if Professional does come home fourth, this will be by far his best result of the season. His best so far has been a 7th in Spain and in Singapore. So if he comes home with 12 points to date, it'll be a great boost to his season.
He's still wiggling around even when he's got past Pitmat. So yeah, he's struggling with the balance of that car at the moment. But yeah, as obviously you've got to take the chances when they've come. And that's a very big chance for Professional to get a good result today. And yeah, he's got to take it and now start pulling away from Pitmat for a start. Pitmat still actually managed to keep within the DRS zone, which is remarkable in itself with that amount of damage to his wing. So yeah, Pitmat's going to struggle. And for these guys who all came in at the end of that one, I'd say their pit window is going to be in the next couple of laps. What they're going to put on is completely unknown. They could go for another set of super softs or another set of ultra softs, and Professional is definitely struggling with his car.
Yeah, it appears that the super soft looks like the best race tyre at this point in the race. Although Iceman's doing a pretty good job out front on that soft, but as Pitmat now dives into the pit lane, so considering it's lap 14, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go for anything other than the super soft.
Well, let's see, shall we?
Trundling down the pit lane towards his Sauber mechanics. I wonder if he's also going to change his front wing, because it's hampered his pace a bit, but not massively, and he does choose to get a new front wing on, just for the enjoyment of driving the car as well, because it's absolutely no fun driving a track like this with half a front wing. Really, just your front end. I can
imagine. Your
front end sliding everywhere. It would not be fun. He comes out of the pit lane behind Cherry Pie, who he obviously lost his front wing on earlier. But Cherry Pie on that soft compound and is a fair few laps older than Pitmat's new super soft. So you suspect the Sauber driver would close in. But he's got, what, 15 laps of this race left to do, so plenty more time for him to catch up to the McLaren driver.
It really is a great shame that the first lap happened. Obviously, while it was extremely entertaining at the time, it has meant that now we're kind of in a phase where no one is close to anyone, frankly. Everyone's spread out, and I think the closest real battle, in quotation marks, we've got is either the battle for first, which Iceman is beginning to pull away from, and the battle for last and last but one in the shape of Griggs and Jamie James. So it's a shame in that respect, as this does tend to be a good track for racing. Hopefully Pitmat on those new super softs can catch up to Cherry Pie and give us some good action. The Caribbean Crush is now into the pit lane himself.
Yep. As Pitmat picks up a 3-second time after the corner cutting, and Caribbean Crush looks to be going on to another set of that super soft tyre, and indeed he is. Comes out of his pick box, and will he be behind Pitmat? Yes, he will. So I'm guessing he was behind Pitmat before the stops anyway. Kind of lost track of where everyone was in this race, I'll be honest. But Caribbean Crush will be another one that's looking to gain on Cherry Pie, who's on that soft tyre. And I believe Cronex has surely got another pit stop to make as well.
I honestly can't remember at this point. So much happened at the beginning of the race, it's completely just blacked out my mind. But yeah, Pitmat's closing on Cherry Pie. Cronexus, let's have a look. Yeah. So he pitted once at the end of lap 1 and then again on lap 2 because of they didn't repair his wing. So yeah, I think he's going to have to stop again. So that will promote Cherry Pie and Pitmat and Caribbean Crush all up one position. And the H-Eagle has come back in.
Yep, he comes into the pit lane. And is another one to go on to another set of the super soft tyre. And we'll wonder if he'll come out behind Professional. You suspect he would, unless he's done a mighty stint, and indeed he has. It's been very close on the run up towards turn 1. Can Professional go all the way round the outside? But it looks like the H-Eagle has got that P3 covered. And, well, just shows you what a crazy race this has been, because usually pitting at the end of lap 1 for a new front wing completely ruins your afternoon. But the H-Eagle looks like he's going to come out with a podium today.
Pitmat's just done the new fastest lap of the race as well, so he's got some pace on those new super softs as he literally just goes wide as I say that at turn 1. So, yeah, Tactician can afford to make that extra stop now and be easily ahead of 3rd place. But I doubt he's going to get anywhere near Iceman at the end of this race. And the way as it stands right now, Iceman currently not doing enough to win the championship. He needs Tactician to be, I think, in 5th place for him to win the championship. And yeah, he would, because even if it's on 15 points, Iceman's got that extra victory, so he would win the race if Tactician was 5th. So unless something really bizarre happens, it looks like the championship is going to head on to Brazil. And Iceman is sitting pretty up at the top of this race right now, as the battle for 6th is getting closer.
Yeah. So yeah, Tactician would need an insane race at Brazil, and well, if there's one track where you're going to get an insane race, to say Brazil's pretty high on that list. Rain's never too far away at that place. So as Pitmat has left the session.
Just when you think something's gonna, you're gonna get some decent racing, something has to happen. Why he's left, who knows? He might have just had a disconnection. I had a power cut the other day in the league race. That was very frustrating. Anyway, Cronexus has come in for a set of Ultra Softs, and he's looking to do 12 laps on those. That's gonna be, that's ambitious, to say the least, considering the drop-off in pace that we see on those tyres. He's going to struggle towards the end of the race.
Yeah. I don't think it's ridiculous, but yeah, it might be a couple of laps too early in terms of the ideal time. But he'll catch up to Jamie James and Ozzy Griggs in no time at all. Pitmat, who's currently coasting around as a ghost car, is going to fall behind these guys pretty quickly. And he's currently lapping very slowly. Caribbean Crush is catching up to Cherry Pie though. And Professional, well, he's in a land of his own. 5 seconds nearly behind the H-Eagle, but he's 18.8 ahead of Cherry Pie. So unless something massive happens, he is not going to be passed by the McLaren, as the H-Eagle, now that's the fastest operator, 35.5.
The H-Eagle only pitted a couple of laps ago.
Yep.
He pitted, what, 2 laps ago? He's already got the gap to 5 seconds. Professional's doing 38. No wonder why. He is incredibly slow at the moment.
RC Griggs has come into the pit lane from that soft compound tyre. Into the pits he comes for his 3rd pit stop of the race. You know when I called a 4-stop, turns out I wasn't that far away.
Look, we're not going to talk. Griggs has pitted 3 times. Sorry, not Griggs. Yeah, Griggs has pitted 3 times.
Cronexus has
Jamie
pitted 3
James
times.
has also pitted for a 3rd time. Cronexus has pitted 3 times. The way he's going with those ultra softs, he might need an extra stop before the end of this race. So, who knows what's going to happen in the last 10 laps of this race.
Genuinely, this is probably the most balmy league races I've ever seen of my life. Like, I mean, you've never known what's coming next. The most stellar first 5 laps you'll ever see. You know, if you want a highlight of league racing, just show that to people. The H Eagle picks up a 3-second time penalty for extending turn 19 though.
That's got to be up there. I think the first 5 laps of the first 3 laps of this race has got to be up there with season 12 F1 at Belgium. It's definitely up there. Yeah.
Quite funny. Tactician is really dropping away from Iceman, gap to 5.5 seconds out front. You suspect Tactician needs to make another pit stop, but he's got to do it. I mean, I'd advise him doing it pretty soon, because otherwise he's going to come out behind the H Eagle, which is just another problem that he just doesn't need at this point in the race. As Professional continues to fall back from the Toro Rosso driver. Caribbean Crush now 1.2 behind Cherry Pie, and Tipmax back in the race, and kind of a land of his own at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's now fallen 20 seconds behind where he was, actually. That's quite a lot of time he's lost in what is quite a short amount of time. So, yeah, that's disappointing for his race, and he's going to struggle to make any inroads on anyone else at this point, unless they have an accident, which could still happen the way this race has gone. So, Tactician does indeed come into the pit lane for a set of ultra softs, and he will go on the attack and try and catch Iceman, but I don't think that's going to happen realistically. Where will the H Eagle be? He's coming into the last corner now, so I think Tactician will be ahead by probably about a second or 2.
Yeah, just a little bit. Tactician going for turn 1.
He's going to be. Well, I can understand why he was worried about this race now, because his race pace has not been that great at all, and I would say the H Eagle has been the faster of the 2 for sure, but because of what happened at the start, of course, which is quite frankly caused by Tactician and the H Eagle, it has to be said. It's kind of this is kind of what we've delved into. So let's cut to the battle for 5th place, as it's the only battle we've got on track at the minute. What's going to happen here, Dan?
Well, judging by this race, they'll probably crash into each other, cause a multi-car pile-up, and then we'll be left with 5 runners. As they're all trading fastest laps, as Jamie James is eventually the dude who goes fastest on a 35-1. Cronexus picks up another time penalty for corner cutting. Caribbean Crush is getting very, very close towards turn 11. Cherry Pie just looking for a good exit and does not find it with that bit of overstep. So Caribbean Crush will get the DRS into the slipstream, but as we've seen far too often in this game, just isn't gaining a right lot in that slipstream. Cherry Pie goes slightly defensive. Caribbean Crush up the inside, finds the apex. Actually, a very, very good move from the Renault driver there. Fair play to Cherry Pie for leaving the space as well, although he leaves his nose in at the next corner. But that's the Renault driver up into P5, and a fairly good move there.
Yeah, I genuinely wondered if Cherry Pie was going to crash into Caribbean Crush there, because he looked like he wanted that position back. And I think he did actually tap the back of him slightly into turn 13. Which has actually meant he's got a bit of damage to his front wing, because he understeered a lot around the reverse turn 8 from Turkey. So if he's got more damage, then, well, it might have to be a front wing change.
Yeah, Cherry Pie will be looking in his mirrors, because Cronexus is only 10.4 seconds behind him. as Tactician's got the gap down to 21.3 out front, but I mean he's gaining sizably, but with so little lap to go, you suspect that Tactician won't have much of a chance at Iceman. And the H-Eagle's still only 3 seconds behind him, so the H-Eagles had very, very good pace today, and you suspect would have been a challenge for Iceman if all the first lap carnage did not happen.
This race would have been very, very different had the carnage not happened. I think that's safe to say. This let's see how everyone is covered by. So there's a minute 20 covering all 10 cars, which is extremely remarkable, and Iceman's got a 20-second lead. So you can definitely tell there's a lot that's happened during this race. If you're just joining us, then well, you missed an absolute bonkers start of the race. I don't know what word you can use to describe the start, I'll be honest.
No, yeah, pretty mental. I'm going to get away from Tactician because he's slightly lagging. Everyone seems to be lagging, so I'm lagging. Good. Yeah, utterly mental start to this Grand Prix. What it did mean, though, was that Iceman managed to get from 4th to 1st in the space of one corner, and has led the race ever since. Just before that, Cherry Pie Tactician had a brilliant side-by-side battle through the first sector on the first lap, and the clown driver eventually prevailed, but that all came undone at the end of the straight, because Tactician went straight into the side of him, causing the McLaren to spin, and then a pile-up happened behind. Everyone lost their front wing, and we only had 3 drivers out there on the second lap that weren't in the pit lane. So the race has unfolded from there, with drivers making more pit stops, and Professional, who I don't want to be too harsh on drivers, but it's fair to say he's not had the pace today, but looks to be coming home with P4 and 12 points.
The perks of not having to make a pit stop on the first lap, it's amazing, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Wow. Professionals done 2 laps in the 37s in this race, and the rest have all been 38s. He's now delved down into the 39s, so you can. It's definitely safe to say that he has not practiced a lot for this race. Griggs has done the fastest lap of the race is a 35.4. So just to show you how off the pace Professional.
Oh, Cherry Pie's into the pit lane.
Almost 4 seconds a lap slower than the fastest lap of the race right now. And obviously because of that stop-go penalty that Cherry Pie got earlier in the race, he's now having to serve that, and has put a set of ultra softs on himself, and he is going to be right back in the battle with Pit Matt again, actually.
Yeah, well, he's going to presumably set fastest lap of the race before he catches up to these guys battling. Although I don't know if he's going to have space.
Battle. We've now got a battle again on our hands with Griggs and Pit Matt over P7, and you can see how much more pace and grip Griggs has got at the moment. His Cherry Pie does himself a massive favour. So shocked by the new grip that he's got on those ultra softs, he's gone ahead and corner cut and got himself.
Yeah.
So, on to the back straight we go. Pit Matt has now got Griggs for company. Right behind him he's got the DRS, and Pit Matt has got some good straight line speed actually. Griggs not able to challenge him down the straight, but with the superior grip that he's got at the moment on the fresher, softer compound on the ultra soft, he's gonna, I would imagine, find his way through very, very quickly. Struggling for a rear grip out of turn 14 into 15. Not close enough for a move just yet.
Yeah, Pitmat's not losing that much time to Crow Nexus, which is pretty important, because if RC Gwiz can get past him pretty quickly, then you suspect the Mercedes driver might be able to have a go at the Ferrari, because Crow Nexus pitted on like lap 16 for his Ultras, which is going to be a mammoth stint on that tyre. So he could be really struggling in the last few laps as Cherry Pie has found a way past Jamie James through the final corner. So that's McLaren driver up into P9. Jamie James trying to use that slipstream up towards turn 1 to make a move back on the McLaren. But Cherry Pie does have that position, and will now go steaming after this battle for P7 and P8.
So, gap up front down to 15. So Tactician, unless Iceman does some donuts on the edge of the racetrack, I don't think Tactician's going to win this race. The HE gun collects a penalty for himself, and the one thing Professional has, I don't think Professional's got a penalty. I might be wrong, but at least he's managed to keep it on the track reasonably without gaining too much time. So he's got that going for him, but yeah, it's just not had the outright pace today. Pitman.
Oh, you've
again. Oh, well, I mean, well, I don't really know what to say to that.
You've ruined him. You completely cursed him.
Pitman defending against Griggs around the outside of turn 15. That's never going to happen because of the way the track layout is. So that's allowed Cherry Pie and Jamie James. Actually, Jamie James made a mistake out of turn 15, so he's dropped. Cherry Pie has got a lot of pace on those Ultra Softs, and no doubt is going to set the fastest lap on the race on this lap while he catches these two. Pitmat defending into the last corner. Griggs not able to go around, and Cherry Pie now across the line right on the back of these two. Pitmat going towards the middle of the racetrack. Griggs going to the right hand side. He dumbers him down the inside, and Cherry Pie steaming around, not managed to get quite far enough along the outside, and Griggs not able to make the move just yet. Please don't try and move through the S's, otherwise they're going to result in a massive crash. And Cherry Pie is not going to... Okay, please don't get more wing damage. We've had enough wing damage so far this race.
Yeah, all heating up for this battle between these three. And Pitmat is definitely the cork in the bottle right now.
Yeah, there's the damage.
Oh, God. I actually don't know what happened, so walk us through that check, because didn't really appear on my screen.
Cherry Pie had quite a lot of straight line speed on the run down to turn 11, and literally just drove into the back of Griggs, and Griggs is now trying to defend against Cherry Pie, does not make it work, and oh my God, he's tried to pinch him towards the apex. He makes the move. It was a good move actually to try and recover some of the lost ground, and Cherry Pie, with the damage to the right hand side of his wing, it's understeering like mad through the corners, and Griggs just steams it straight up the inside, shoves Cherry Pie straight off the track, and that is extremely, extremely rude from the Mercedes, as Cherry Pie, with a catastrophic amount of understeer, cannot do anything with Jamie James.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I would say that's extremely rude from Griggs.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a new low for this race, but I mean, yeah, it's been an interesting one to say the least. Pitmat still somehow holding on to P7. God knows where he could be if he'd not disconnected. You suspect to be battling Caribbean Crush for P5. Yeah. But Jamie James has picked up another 3-second time penalty. So difficult to keep track of what's happened in this race. But RC Griggs. So who picked up front? I'm guessing it was Cherry Pie that picked up the front wing damage then.
Yeah, he's just so probably amazed or just caught out by how early the others broke for turn 11 that he's literally just driven into the back of Griggs. He made a good move on Griggs into turn 12 to recover it, and then Griggs was like, nah, don't like it, and Griggs has actually got damage himself from that somewhere, so who knows where that happened, but
I think it happened when I think it happened when he dive bombed Cherry Pie. I think.
Probably, but it's safe to say this has been an expensive Grand Prix.
Yeah, they've gone through plenty of front wings. There's going to be a lot of head scratching, but we are on the penultimate lap of the race for the leaders, and Iceman does appear to have this one in the bag. Honestly, he's still sticking with Pitmat despite his front wing damage. As okay.
No idea how that manages to happen in a close passing. Anyway, just one and a bit laps to go of this race, and Jamie James has gone very deep into turn 1. This is the only real battle we've got on track at the minute, so keep with the action just to see if anyone else picks up some more front wing damage. Cherry Pie, sadly, has dropped well back, obviously with his as well. So I don't think he's going to be too impressed with Griggs, as Griggs picks up a penalty himself for track limits. Even with the damage that Griggs has got at the minute, he's actually managing to hold on to. Obviously, he can't actually get close enough with the turbulent air and the damage that he's got, so he might actually struggle to challenge Pitmat, and I'm kind of surprised that Jamie James hasn't been able to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I do apologise for the absolutely horrendous lag that is happening right now. It's pretty horrendous on my screen, so we're kind of relying on a radio commentary from Shane at this point. Has stabilised for the time being, but everything's kicked off in this race. But the one thing that does appear to have happened is that Iceman looks like he's going to take his 4th win of the season. He's into the final sector. He's got a 14-second gap to Tactician, but after the first lap, it looks like he's been pretty untouchable in this Grand Prix. And Tactician's going to come home second. What's happened?
Literally, it just dawned on me how far behind they are. I didn't realise Iceman was already in the last sector of the lap.
Yeah, but I mean, Professional's 30 seconds behind the H-Eagle, which is quite impressive. But the Iceman comes right at the final corner to take the win here in Kota. In one of the most bizarre league races you'll ever see. Tactician comes home second. Might pick up a penalty for that first lap incident. We'll find out after the race and inform you in Brazil. But he comes home second. The H-Eagle will come home third. It's been a very good recovery drive from him, but he will probably be quite annoyed of what could have been for him today, as he actually finished 15 seconds behind Tactician due to his penalty. So, oh my God, Professional, where are you going, fam? Oh, I have just cut the Professional, who is sideways. I don't know if that was lag. It genuinely didn't look like it. It looks like he just lost complete control of his car. He did pit on lap 10 for those super softs. Oh, that is lag. That is lag. Okay, it might just have been complete lag then. But as
things are hotting up to 7th place.
Oh, try and cut to
cut
it.
back to that. Griggs is going to try and... Oh, he crashed into the back of Pitmat. Jamie James tries to go up the inside of the pair of them, and Griggs just tries to barge him out the way. What is Griggs doing? Griggs just hit Pitmat just clean out the way, and that's allowed Jamie James to go past. Griggs has got even more damage now, and is going to just understeer clean off the circuit. I don't understand what Griggs' mentality has been in the last few laps. He's just hit everything. Pitmat hits the wall in frustration. What the hell was that race?
I have absolutely no idea what I have witnessed. I mean, firstly...
It's literally like Griggs has forgotten that the brake pedal exists.
I genuinely do apologise for those last sort of 5-6 laps, because the lag was awful. Really, I do apologise for that. Trying to keep track of what happened. But Iceman has won, but the most chaotic Grand Prix I've ever seen. I mean, the driving standards just seemingly went out of the window. It was like we were watching sprint mode at times.
Yeah.
So that's not great to see, if I'm being honest. Kind of had hope for some good racing at this track. But Iceman comes home with the win. Tactician comes home second. The H-Eagle third. Professional does finish fourth. Caribbean Crush fifth. Chronexa sixth. It was a good day for Ferrari, finishing fourth and sixth. Pitmat seventh. RC Griggs eighth. Jamie James ninth. Cherry Pie 10th. And Mazias, who retired very, very early on, even before things kicked off at turn 12 on lap 1.
You say it was a good day for Ferrari. Was it? I don't think you can call... The only person this has gone well for is Iceman.
I mean, Professional's gone from 11th to 4th.
But, I mean, he's had the true, but that was the highlight of his race. His fastest lap is 8/10 slower than any... actually, Iceman had the second slowest lap of the race. That's just that is amazing that Iceman had the second slowest lap of the race, and that just shows you the carnage that has unfolded here today in Kota.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mental one, but fair play to Iceman, was in complete control of that race, and would never have been, well, he might have been beaten by the H Eagle, who did appear to have good pace, but would have been pretty close. I'm pretty sure Iceman was coasting for most of that second half of the race. But yeah, utterly balmy, some of that battling that we've seen out there. Would not be surprised if some of the drivers get some penalties at some point. But nevertheless, a driver of the day for you, Shane.
Right. Well, I mean, there's just so many. Iceman.
Okay.
Literally, for just not the. A professional was a bit faster than him, but his pace was just not that great during the race, and Iceman just managed to keep it, keep away from everyone on the first lap, and then controlled it from there. I don't think you can really put anyone other as driver of the day, frankly.
No. Yeah, Tactician, who did finish second, did not have a good afternoon. The H Eagle, I think, would be the other contender. I don't really know how responsible he was for all the first lap carnage.
True.
But nevertheless, did perform very well towards the end of the race. We've got another person joining the party. Anyway, that has been it for the USA Grand Prix. We'll see you next week. The championship does roll on till then, with Iceman having a 17-point gap. But until then, it's bye-bye.